Hi guys. So today we are going to talk a little bit about the IIFT form which has been recently released on their website. You see, there's a new thing which IIFT has introduced as a part of their selection process. There's one which is the online interview which is going to happen, and the other one is going to be an extempore. I guess IIFT is trying to go the same way as FMS has gone in the last few years. You see, extempore requires quite a lot of preparation and so does PI. In this particular set of a video, what we are going to do is the IIFT PI preparation foundation stone is something that we are going to lay at this point in time. In my opinion, and from the students that I have assisted in the past couple of years, the PI which happens, it happens on the basis of the form which has been released on the website. So if you see, if you prepare the form at the very best of your capability, half of your job is done over there. So let's see what is it that we have got in the form. So in my there's a form next to me over here. Part B is divided. So it is divided into three parts. Part A is about your details. Part B is about career focused activities, and part C is about managerial traits. Let's try to look at all the questions individually. Part B starts with an interesting question. The first question is, what are the three things that you aspire in your career? You see, before even trying to attempt these questions one by one, I would tell you that the first question you should always have in your mind is start answering all of these questions with the first take that tell me about yourself and define your life. If you're able to define your life in a very proper way, then it is half a job done. And how do you do that? So you start your journey from your childhood because most of the things, your habits, your character, your attitude is defined from the age of, let's say, 3 to 8. So talk a little bit more about how you were as a child. And I'm not saying this in a formal way, write it down for yourself. Write about how you were doing when you were a small child and where you grew up. Where did you schooling from? Where did you do your college from? And what aspired you to get into your graduation field? Let's say in this journey until from your schooling to your high school to your graduation, there must be some spikes in your career and there must be some downfalls in your career. Ensure that every juncture of that life, you note what were the spikes, what were the downfalls. That way, you'll get an understanding that what caused a spike in your CV that pushed you to come at this particular stage, and those are the points that you can focus on while answering your questions in IIT. Whereas the downfalls are something that we need to ponder on, and that's because I'll tell you those are the points. Even your spikes, those are going to help you understand what are your weaknesses, what have been your consistent weaknesses, what have been your consistent strengths, and how have those things helped you excel in the journey till now. So you see, start your overall journey with this particular pattern. Now, if you are a fresher, that is where your journey will stop, is what the general notion would be. But I would tell you, dig a little deeper. Why is it that your profile should be interesting enough? If you are an engineer, then there will be some internships that you must have done. There must be some projects. There's a final year project that you must have completed. There must be some competitions that you must have done. I guess those are the spikes that you need to identify if you're a fresher. Let's say if you're a commerce student, then there must be some defining activities inside or outside the classroom which must have gotten your profile selected at this point in time. Find something like that. If you're an art student, then there must be some interesting activity which must have helped you create your portfolio. Note it down. What prompted you to do all of those things? Like in my case, my graduation score was very low. However, my portfolio was built because of my learning outside the classroom. I was the student's treasurer. एक committee होता है mechanical engineering में, जहाँ पे I was the treasurer of that committee. So what I learned during that time was first of all managing the events and also how to manage the money. That shaped me so much that I left my job, which was into the technical field, and I got into sales, which was the managerial field. You see, these are the small, small nuances that you need to note down and use those in your interview. But let's hold our horses over here. Let's also look at what the people who must have been gone through experience, 1, 2, 3 years of experience in the till now, they can note down. Your journey continues even after your campus life. Now, what must be the reason that you must have gotten your first job? It's quite a lot of big task, right? You get a first job. Then comes the activity that you must have done inside your job. It can be either the technical ones, which must have gotten you appreciation, or it can be also something related to apart from your job that you can note it down. Okay, that's all about the career aspect that you can manage. Now, if I have to tell you about myself in my sales stint, I loved that stint so much that my whole IIFT interview went on to my sales stint because I was able to navigate the whole discussion in that direction. So ensure that you write down all the good points about your career, maybe some of the bad things which must have happened over there. Let's say wherever you must have failed, wherever you must have realized that, oh, this is the point where I need an MBA. So this is the point until you need to focus on your career. Now understand that your 10th, 12th graduation and your job life is not only an outcome of anything and everything you do in the classroom or from your career aspect as such, but also the activities like that must have given you some soft skills. Like let's say I wrote that I am very good at charcoal sketching. So that was a hobby that I had developed since my childhood. I loved singing. One of my friend, he was a national level cricket player. He played in Ranji once. That is what shaped him to be leader. You see, many organizations out there and even the institutions that you're going to apply for, they don't even care that how much marks you have gotten because they want to bring in the diversity. If you can bring in some of these spikes, that would be really great to build a script for yourself. So just note it down and ensure that you have a complete paragraph prepared for yourself. Now, once you have a collection of all the data points from your life, what you need to do is you need to pick and choose from these data pointers कि आप ये डेटा पॉइंट्स में से आप ये फॉर्म कैसे लिखोगे क्योंकि पूरा जो फॉर्म है यही डेटा पॉइंट में से लिखना है हमें. We don't have to bluff. We don't have to go overboard in mentioning what we have done in the past, or we don't want to deliver on our activities. We want to mention the way it is, but for that, it needs to be very clear. It needs to be pin pointed exactly on the paper. So I assume that if you have done all of these activities thoroughly, the second part that you need to do is directly jump onto the question. The question says, what are the three things that you aspire for in your career? Now, this is not something, first of all, just understand the do's and don'ts, basically the don'ts part of it. Please don't use ChatGPT because ChatGPT will not be able to write your form. ChatGPT doesn't understand your life. ChatGPT hasn't gone through the spikes and the downs of your life. It doesn't understand the emotion. So let's use ChatGPT to क्या कहते हैं हम लोग उसको साइज डाउन करने में यूज कर सकते हैं. यहाँ पे लिखा मैक्सिमम वर्ड्स अलाउड इज 100 फॉर ईच. So we can use ChatGPT to compress our answer, but don't form your answers that way. I'll tell you an interesting thing. Like almost a year ago, what happened was one of my तभी ChatGPT use नहीं किया गया था, but one of my friend told me that एक जो उसका जूनियर है उसने ChatGPT यूज किया था दोनों और उसके दोस्त ने भी सेम ही आंसर कॉपी किया था. इट वॉज सच ए सिली मिस्टेक और दोनों ने क्विल बॉट यूज किया. क्विल बॉट यूज करने पे पैराफ्रेज किया उसको. लेकिन पैराफ्रेज करते समय लाइक यू वोंट बिलीव इट, दी टू इंटरव्यूअर्स कॉट दैट थिंग. अनफॉर्चुनेटली दे रिमेम्बर्ड कि एक ने क्या लिखा था दूसरे क्या लिखा था एंड बोथ ऑफ देम गॉट रिजेक्टेड बिकॉज सेकेंड पर्सन के इंटरव्यू में ये पिक किया गया था कि आपका तो पेपर सेम है फर्स्ट वाले के जैसे. So ensure that you don't bluff, you don't use any tools at this point in time. What you need to provide at this point in time is a genuine story. हम लोग उसको कैसे कट शॉर्ट करना है उसके लिए ये सारे टूल्स यूज करेंगे. ओके. So the first question is what are the three things that you aspire for in your career? Now always understand कि ये जो ऐसे questions आते हैं वो एक गूगली होता है to understand कि आप करियर को किस पर्सपेक्टिव से देखते हो. So if I was in your shoes, I would recommend you to go it in this particular fashion. कि आपको सबसे पहले आप क्या करोगे कि आपके करियर में फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल आपने ग्रेजुएशन किया है, फिर अभी आप आईआईएफटी में से पोस्ट ग्रेजुएशन करोगे. सो एंश्योर दैट ये ग्रेजुएशन और पोस्ट ग्रेजुएशन से जो आपको लर्निंग मिलेगी, यू विल फर्स्ट अंडरस्टैंड दोज लर्निंग्स. You will first try to bridge those theoretical learnings into practical learning. So, as an analyst or a basic level uh, hiree or management trainee, you'll try to understand कि मैंने जो टेक्स्ट बुक में सीखा था और जो एक्चुअल एप्लीकेशन में होता है, क्या वो दोनों सेम है? क्या वो दोनों डिफरेंट है? ऑफ कोर्स इट्स गोइंग टू बी डिफरेंट, बट what is that different? What is the gap between that difference? That is what you would like to understand. You would like to learn as much as possible in your formative years. And it is not like you won't be learning in the future, but आप जितना starting में grasp करोगे चीजों को, आप जितना एक if I have to use the proper word, आप एक generic role लोगे, उतना आप ऑर्गेनाइजेशन को समझ सकोगे. बिकॉज इफ यू गो इन टू द नीश एट द वेरी स्टार्ट ऑफ इट, यू मे नॉट बी एबल टू अंडरस्टैंड दैट. लेट्स से सेल्स वाले को फाइनेंस का नहीं समझेगा कि बजटिंग कैसी होती है, फाइनेंस वाले को सेल्स का नहीं समझेगा कि व्हाट कैन बी द कंस्ट्रेंट्स इन एक्सप्लोरिंग द मार्केट्स. So what you need to mention is that your approach should be that in the formative years you're going to explore, you're going to learn, you're going to address the gap that you have in your portfolio at this point in time. Now, in the first step, now that you have addressed the gap, the second step will be कि मैंने सीख लिया. Now I want to teach the same thing to the people who are working for me, like मेरे juniors. So you need to learn and you need to manage the juniors. You need to lead the team. That is the soft skill that you need to understand. Because unless and until you don't learn that skill, सीन ये हो जाता है कि आप सॉफ्ट स्किल्स सीख नहीं पाते हो. सो आई हैव रिटन 3 पॉइंट्स ओवर हियर: मैनेजिंग एंड लीडिंग द टीम्स. आप किसी का गोल डिफाइन करना भी एक बहुत बड़ा चीज होता है, बिकॉज यू आर रिस्पॉन्सिबल फॉर पीपल्स करियर. सो यू वुड लाइक टू डिफाइन योर जूनियर्स गोल. यू नीड टू अपस्किल योर टीम. देन एक चीज होती है कि खुद को कुछ एक टास्क दिया हो समझना है, और दूसरा होता है कि जो सीनियर लीडरशिप से जो टास्क आता है, जो एक सीईओ का विजन होता है, उससे हमें ट्रांसलेट करना होता है टू योर जूनियर सबॉर्डिनेट्स. तो वो ट्रांसलेट करने में कहीं कभी कभार गलतियां हो जाती है. सो यू नीड टू लर्न हाउ यू कैन ट्रांसलेट दैट. So your second layer of your learning or second part of your career will go into leading teams, managing teams, translating the difficult aspects of the job in an easier way. And last but not least, the third part is going to be uh, you need to master a certain area. You can't be jack of all trades, right? You need to be mastering a certain niche. Let's say if you are going into trading, तो आपको अगर कॉटन ट्रेडिंग में अगर कुछ चीज समझ में आए, या फिर आपको कॉफी बीन ट्रेडिंग अच्छी लगती है, सो कहाँ से सोर्स करना है, कहाँ पे वेयर हाउस करना है, कहाँ पे डिलीवर करना है, या फिर इफ यू आर वर्किंग ऑन अ ट्रेडिंग डेस्क, देन यू नीड टू अंडरस्टैंड फ्रॉम द पॉइंट कि आप हेज कैसे करोगे आपके रिस्क को, आप प्रोक्योर कैसे करोगे, हाउ विल यू इंश्योर दैट इट इज डिलीवर्ड प्रॉपरली, एंड देन simultaneously you are going to lead the team with your niche knowledge. You need to ensure that you deliver the outcome with and act as a leadership person. So if you can define your activities, if you can define the three things that you aspire for your career in these three fashion, matlab start of your career, mid career, and then uh, at leadership role, that should help you. Okay. So ये हुआ पहला question. Second question है, give instances of situation where you used an innovative or creative method to solve. Now, because this focuses on career, ये career focus वाले section में आता है. ऐसा नहीं है कि सिर्फ the people who have already given who are already into the job, they will be able to answer this. Understand that this experience can also come from your college. It can come from your 10th standard, 12th standard. But जितना recent होगा उतना अच्छा रहेगा आपके लिए, because you will be able to substantiate a little bit more. But don't worry if it is not recent. You need to be able to navigate your answers in such a way कि वो अच्छे तरीके से दिखाई दो. So innovative and creative method to solve a problem is, first of all, you need to define a particular problem. So if you take a look at the framework in which you need to answer this is SCR. SCR framework is situation, complication, and resolution. So you need to first define what the situation was. Because unless and until you don't define what the situation was, वो background समझ में नहीं आएगा, वो गहराई समझ में नहीं आएगी. And then you go on to define what was the complication and how innovatively you were able to solve it. Now, it need not be very out of the box solution. It need not be something that someone may not be able to understand it. But आप कोई भी complex चीज को easy way में कैसे बता सकते हो? That is what the ask over here would be. So just try to find out an instance where even किसी को सिंपल चीज पता नहीं थी और आपने वो सिंपल चीज ढूंढ के निकाली, वो यहाँ पे. The third question is, what does ambition mean to you? Describe the instances of steps you have taken to fulfill your ambition. Now this can be a very tricky way. Ambition मतलब आपको बताओ कि how in the past फॉर योर लेट्स से मुझे मैं 10th 12th में था और मुझे ग्रेजुएशन कहाँ से करना एक एम्बिशन था, या फिर मैं ग्रेजुएशन में था और मुझे एम्बिशन था कि आई वांटेड टू वर्क फॉर अ स्पेसिफिक ऑर्गेनाइजेशन. What were the things that you undertook to reach that ambition? कि let's say मुझे जाना था किसी डेटा एनालिसिस कंपनी में और उसके लिए मैंने क्या स्टेप्स लिए. My ambition is still to become a very good data analyst or data scientist. So because my education is mechanical engineering, I don't have the access to data engineering. But then I took different courses. I read quite a lot of things about it. मैंने podcast सुने, मैंने videos देखे. I upgraded myself. I stayed up till night, and then I was able to define that my ambition at the end of the day is always going to be data scientist, and I upskilled myself over here. So you need to define what ambition means to you in a longer term. Okay, first of all, you need to use your short-term skills and how you can use your short-term skills to upgrade your career into a bigger picture. And using that, you need to mention that how in the past you have taken just those small steps to get to the place where you are. Let's say even if in case of sports, you wanted to be the best in the league, if you wanted to be a national player, then to reach that ambition of national player, आपने क्या क्या किया. Don't make it emotional, make it very practical. People will be able to call out the bluff in it or bullshit in it. So ensure that you make these three steps in a particular specific ways. तो मैं क्या करता हूँ कि पार्ट सी का जो है we'll take a look at the questions in the next video. Okay, thank you.